going on, everybody? It's Roberta Lee, and I'm excited because I'm here with my husband, who is going to be giving a review of my new EP, Just a Taste. So, babe, off the rip, from the jump, what is your favorite song off the EP?
My favorite song off the EP would have to be He Can't Dance, obviously, because I can't dance.
Okay. Okay.
No?
That's great. No,
Okay,
I'm not judging you.
Okay,
That's one of my
okay.
favorites too.
Okay.
Now, do you remember the story behind He Can't Dance? Do you remember like the day that I'm talking about?
I absolutely do remember the day that you're talking about. I think that, like based on just even hearing the song, I remember sitting on the couch and I do remember exactly what you were talking about in the song as far as you dancing in the middle of the living room. And there was a thought that ran across my mind as I was watching you dance, knowing in the back of my head that I can't really dance, but I remember hearing this thought like, you know what, you should probably get up and dance with your wife. And so I remember getting up and being like, this is going to be rough, but we're going to do it anyway.
And rough it was, indeed. But exactly. It was sweet, which is why it made an impression on me and why I wrote the song.
I also remember the second part of that too. Mm-hmm. When we did go to the beach with the kids, we were watching that concert, and I remember thinking to myself, we went down to the ocean front, and they had a concert going on, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm not paying to go inside this concert. And so where we were at, I remember us being like behind the fence of the concert, where like people that didn't buy tickets were at. So we were back there, and I felt like, hey, you know what? Since we ain't paying no tickets, we could dance however the heck we wanted there. There ain't no way gonna kick us out. So
and dance the way we wanted, we did. Yeah, exactly. That was fun. That was fun. My next question is, what was your favorite lyric?
What do you mean by lyric?
Not out of that particular song, but out of all the songs, what's your favorite line? What's your favorite lyric? Out of Sweet Baby Ray or Ghetto Country Streets or... What's your favorite lyric?
I mean, I got two. I think, like my favorite lyric was, obviously in the He Can't Dance, but he's a real man. He's going to do what he's got to do. I think, we talked about that. Just like, I think as far as being like a man and as far as being a husband, as being a father, I think it was important just to, get the feel of appreciation, as a man to do what you got to do. I think that really hit me in the heart, and I think that was really good. And then I think my second favorite lyric, I think it went something along the lines of you talking about having like a marinade for my meat. That was another good one that I was like...
Why did you have to say it like that, though?
I don't know. I mean, you asked me what it was, but I remember hearing like, okay, marinade. And then when I heard it, I was like, I think that's true. Okay, so there you go.
Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, that's the Sweet Baby. That's definitely Sweet Baby Ray.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't prepared.
I'll be honest, I was on the fence about Sweet Baby Ray.
Why?
Because I'm an introvert, so I didn't want like, you know what I mean? Like when I heard the song initially, I was kind of like, man, this is kind of putting out a lot of like how I feel about it personally.
Okay.
But then as I listened to it a lot more and more, and then as I kind of heard the lyrics and heard like where you were coming from, especially that line about the marinade and meat, I was like, okay, yeah, I get it.
You like that line. Which was your least favorite song?
I would say my least favorite song on the EP probably was Ghetto Country Streets. I didn't, it was a great song. I think it was a really good song. I just didn't, just for me, it just didn't connect completely just because
it didn't tug the heartstrings.
Yeah, it didn't tug the heartstrings too much. I think it probably would have if I grew up in VA or grew up in the area or something like that, and I knew you or knew like the story behind it. But for me, it just didn't tug it that much.
That was a trick question.
Why was it a trick question?
Because you're my husband. You're not supposed to say like
that.
Okay. None of them are the least favorite song. No, let me stop.
Well, that's why we're having this interview, because I'm going to be honest. on the interview.
Very true. Okay, but I get it though. It's not a song that you genuinely connect with. Okay, gotcha. Because you got Sweet Baby Ray. You connect with that one.
I do.
For sure. King Size. About you. Yeah. He can't dance. Uniform. What songs that you connect with? Yeah. If you could pick a song for karaoke, which one would you sing? If you could pick one of the songs off the EP for
I would say Going Back to Georgia.
Back to Georgia?
Back to Georgia.
Really? It's a karaoke song?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, it just has that feel of, I think, we just went back home and, just experienced Christmas and all that. I think it's like one of those songs where it's like, it reminds me of Hotel California.
Okay.
Hotel California. You know how it's one of those songs
like
that you can kind of like sing.
That everyone...
When are we going back to Georgia?
Okay.
It just reminded me of that vibe. So I was like, I could see singing that at karaoke.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Would you sing karaoke? We've done it a couple times, but would you?
I got a couple of glasses of wine,
I bet you would. Okay. Cool. Based off of what you know about me and the songs that you hear me practicing, these songs that you hear me writing and all that kind of stuff, what do you think I should release next? What do you think I should share sooner rather than later?
That's a good question. I think looking back at some of the songs that you've written, I think that one of the things that I've noticed about your music and how you write, you're always evolving as you're growing in life, right? So some of the songs that I've heard you write in the past and that you were kind of in that space in the past, I think those were meant for that time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, to be honest with you, I'm more really excited about the songs that you're that are gonna come out of what you're experiencing right now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think, and that's not an excuse not to answer the question, but I just think that those songs that you kind of wrote in the past were a younger version of you. Mm-hmm. And now I think after this EP, after the things that you've experienced, there's a lot more boldness and a lot more maturity that I would rather hear some of the newer songs, the newer things that come out of you. So to answer that question, only song that I can really think of that comes to the top of my head would be Save Your Seat for me. That was always one of my favorite songs. I think you wrote that for a really good friend of ours that passed away. And I think that was a really good song. That was man, that really touched the heart. But that's really the only main one that I'm if I could see you, making that a production.
Not Throwing Stones? You always
Throwing Stones, yeah. Throwing Stones was a great one. Yeah, Throwing Stones was a great one. I feel Throwing Stones was kind of a personal, not for you, but personally for me. So yeah, Throwing Stones and Save a Seat for me would probably be the two that I'd love to see here.
Well, it's interesting you say that about, the songs being progressive in my songwriting and kind of forward thinking or using the here and now to inspire stuff, because my desire is to go back a little bit, because I'm trying to explain to my audience and the people who are beginning to learn who I am. I have to go back and tell them that story too. True. You're caught up because you've been here, right? You've been
12 years.
12 years. We've been together for 13, right? For 12, yeah. And married for 12, yeah. Right? And so you've been a part of that process. So it's easy. I think it's easy for you to look at it and be like, okay, well, that's old news. So what's next? But for the people who are starting to get to know me, it's I need to go back and show them all of those lessons that I learned from my youth and from being single and the struggle, and before we happened, you know? So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to sharing too. So.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Okay, cool. So I got a couple questions for you as well. So, obviously this EP, Just a Taste, was, for me, I think it was kind of, I didn't really see it kind of coming. I think it was a lot of songs that, you talked a lot about our relationship and our experience together. But what was really kind of the mindset and kind of putting together a lot of that? I know it was a lot of things that we experienced, but what was like kind of your mindset in putting those things together?
And putting it together as an EP, I think for me, I like a lot of it's the storyteller in me. I think a lot of my, and I talked about this on a podcast interview, I think a lot of my influence and how I write songs and produce and create has a lot to do with my teaching style, which is being able to like explain a story to people, being able to explain it in a way that people could break down and understand. And so when I got the pressure to start recording Black Opry,
shout out to Black Opry,
by the way, absolutely. But after the Americana Fest, and I had it's like, okay, the urgency, like there's ears that want to hear what I have to say now. And like I've been writing for years, so I have this whole catalog of songs that I could choose from. And so it was just a matter of picking from them and figuring out which ones told a particular story. So after writing Ghetto Country Streets, I remember you said, I got good feedback from Ghetto Country Streets. I got great feedback from Sweet Baby Ray. I always loved King Size. I'm looking at these, I'm like, okay, how can I fit all of these together to create a story that people can follow along from beginning to end? Even though it's just the EP, it's only 6 songs, right? I'm like, how can I connect, Sweet Baby Ray to Uniform? Like, how did we go from here to there? You know what I mean? So it was that's kind of where all the decision making happened, where it's like, okay, going from Ghetto Country Streets, which is my youth, and wanting to grow up, wanting to find love, and then finding love, marinating on that love, and then and out of that marination, having some chicken nuggets, and from those chicken nuggets we move on to now I'm curious, just explaining their life and their perspective, like in Back to Georgia and Uniform. So that was my way of like putting all the pieces together and figuring out how one connects to the other.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then also too, like with Sweet Baby Ray, we don't eat a lot of ribs or you know what I mean, barbecue sauce and stuff like that. I mean, what was the inspiration obviously behind that?
So at the time, I noticed as a writer, okay, and I was talking about this on my series that I was doing on TikTok about writing seasons, right? And people think there's this writer's block. I don't believe in writer's block, but I feel like you have writing seasons. And then there was another tip that I gave where I told people sometimes it feels like you might be writing like the same thing over and over again. Like it might sound like the same chords, or you might be writing the same themes, but what your spirit is doing is your spirit is playing hide and seek, and there's something that your spirit wants to say, and you're digging through and you're trying to like get it out. And so at the time I had written another song. It was like, baby, take your loving off the shelf, and I was doing the food metaphor. I want all the goodies to my, I was just doing the food metaphor. And so there were a couple of songs that I had like that, and Sweet Baby Ray was one of them. And so again, I was sitting there just kind of writing that theme, I guess you could say. I was just going with that theme of using food as a metaphor for love and desire and everything. And I wrote Sweet Baby Ray, and I didn't consider it for recording. I didn't think much of it until Americana Fest and the Black Opry House, and getting harassed to get the song done. So okay. you have our friends from the Black Opry House to thank. So
hey, thank you guys. Mm-hmm. And last question I have, like one of the things that I've always admired about you is just your ability to songwrite. I think that one of your gifts and one of the talents that you have, I think overall, is this ability to take, objects, take situations, take scenarios, and be able to write a song about it, and to be able to put it in a song that, number one, is usually very easy to follow along, and number two, usually, especially like we've seen in this EP, is something that everybody can relate to. So I think one of the questions that I have is, let's say for instance I'm an aspiring songwriter, or I'm somebody out there that's trying to get started. What would be one of the tips that you would give to somebody as far as trying to learn how to write, trying to learn how to get into or even just that's a songwriter. I mean, what's one of the tips that you can give someone in helping to learn how to write better songs?
Write them even if they suck.
Okay.
I have notebooks and Google Docs full of songs that I'll probably never want anyone to ever hear, but I wrote them, and so.
So really practice, a lot of practice.
Practice makes perfect. Again, your spirit playing hide and seek. One day you have to keep searching so it can find what it wants to say, and that's really the only way you become a really good songwriter, is just to get it all out. Sing them, write them, sing them, write them again. Keep old material. You never know how you could reuse it, but yeah, just get the bad ones out. The good ones will be on their way.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the questions I got. I'm looking for some Sweet Baby Ray songs.
Oh my God. What do I do with this, guys? Y'all see where this comes from? You guys have officially met my muse. By the way, this is my inspiration.
There you go.
For like half the songs.
I need some marinade.
On the EP, and you need to stop. Okay. You need to stop. We're supposed to be keeping this rated G.
It is rated G. Ain't nobody know what marinade is. But Sweet Baby Ray. Just a Taste EP. You better download it. All streaming platforms, wherever you can find music at. Definitely support VA music artists, Black Opry. We're doing big things.
You heard what my man said. Download Just a Taste. Mwah. Love you guys.